So the Senate is getting ready to vote on the Green New Deal. This is the proposal that freshman Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as well as Senator Edward Markey, were behind spearheading uh, as far as being a legislative effort, and it's not expected to pass because the majority of the Senate is Republicans, but also because, and this is to their credit, most of the Democrats have not outwardly stated whether they support the Green New Deal as a piece of legislation or the idea of, reforming the economy to be centered around the environment. So there's a good intention, or rather, there's a good result that could come from this getting turned down today. And one of the benefits of that is knowing who's for it and who's not. Because see, the thing I always hate about watching members of Congress and just the way they kind of reason and do things is that they think because people don't pay attention to most of their votes that they can get away with saying and claiming whatever they want, and there's no ramification or no one there that actually disputes what they have to say. And the media, um, just like how Trump says fake news, they do a good example of what I'm talking about, where you never will hear them challenge any of these politicians on any of their positions via their voting record. So when we actually are able to get this roll call and see who backed it and who didn't, um, we'll be able to call them out on not supporting this. And I guess I wouldn't be so upset by this getting turned down were it not for the fact that I do believe climate change is real. I do think that lawmakers, because I can settle people on Twitter and YouTube and other places thinking that this is a stupid idea, but I wish that the people who were opponents of it had their own idea as to how to combat it, just like with the Democrats. They're opposed to Trump's immigration position or whatever, but you never hear them mention their own proposal. They just sit there and crap on the other person's idea. And, that's not an endorsement of anything he's doing, but that is to say that when you have two parties and one of them literally cements themselves as the forever opposition, no matter what you do, we're opposed to it, what the hell are you supposed to do? Just like with Obamacare, right? This law has been around for 9 years at this point, almost a decade, and we're still having people talking about repealing and replacing it. We still have individuals trying to say that it, destroyed everything and blah 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 blah. But you never see them, or rather, for the most part, up until 2 years ago, I should say, when they had I think it was the American Health Care Act, the Trump Care proposal, the one that failed in Congress. You never, for the most part, hear them discuss their own ideas or proposals. This is exactly why when you're sitting there and you're watching all these little speeches, just like the one that Mike Lee did earlier, where he was showing all those weird pictures, you're not going to hear him say, I do think we should do yada, yada, yada. Like, there's no concessions. It's just gridlock Congress that gets nothing done, which is why it has an approval rating that usually is below 20%. Uh, Even though ironically, all of its members seem to have this overwhelming chance of getting reelected. So, it's like both ways. You just can't win with these people. So we're going to anticipate that vote. We're going to have fun watching the people expose themselves as saying that they believe in climate change while voting the same way as the people who don't believe in it. It'll be really interesting, and it's even more comical when you think of the fact that for so long I've tried to explain that when you watch these people give these little stupid speeches on the Senate floor, and that most Americans don't even bother to tune in to actually see what they're saying or doing, it becomes all the more relevant as to why you want this record on those. Because now I don't have to show people speeches. I can literally just pull up this vote and say, hey, this person voted against this. This is what this does. And they know it was you. So the ones that are going to vote against it should vote against it at their own behest. It's going to be nice to have that finally be something that I'm allowed to show. But I'm telling you, as I sit here and I watch these little addresses and stuff, it's just like all the Republicans are saying it's a bad idea, as you would expect. All the Democrats are saying they're either using weasel words or they're not directly I haven't seen any that just go out and say this is such a great idea. So I keep trying to explain to people. I say that both parties are the same because they try to deflect amongst their rhetoric, right? So like one party will try to say they meet you halfway, the other one will try to say no, we're just entirely against this. But when you go and you look at their voting record and it comes up where it's like 80 or 70 people voted against this, you know who the bad ones are. And they're not bad because they inherently are evil. It's just they vote the same way as the ones that, if they had an R by their name, you would know are the villains, or at least you would be more readily accepting of their position as a foe or antagonist to your intentions. They also had the House failed to veto Trump's emergency declaration, which I don't think that really shocked anybody. I love how everyone tries to claim as if, they thought there was some chance, oh, the Democrats have majority so they can do this. But you guys don't have a super majority. You don't have an overwhelming, massive, like I always look back at the 2010 midterm and I'm just reminded of how the Republicans were able to get over, what was it, like 60 seats, just huge, best they've done since World War II. And just nothing in between now and the last 70 years has come close to that, or at least been on that level of just a complete blowback. So it wasn't surprising, but it is kind of sad that we're going to watch billions of dollars be wasted. I have C-SPAN on. It's saying that the vote supporting the Green New Deal is going to start shortly. I'm excited. Not because of the result, but of who is going to be revealed to be part of the coal lobby. Like we already know Manchin's going to vote against it. We already know what's his name, Jones is going to not back it. So the usual suspects are already there, but there's going to be some more people in there that people, for the most part, give a pass to, that they're just going to be like, what the hell? It's kind of like how with a lot of Democrats, when I go and I watch just the stuff they write on Twitter, they'll crap on someone like Bernie and then they'll love someone like AOC, even though she's literally admitted her influence was in running for office came from his presidential campaign. Like she was a part of a coalition with the Justice Democrats of people who saw his challenge to HRC and wanted to do that on a smaller level, or became energized by that. Just saying, it's just funny to watch these people with these like close ties to each other ideologically get completely different treatments. So it's really comical. Just shows you people don't like think critically about a lot of this stuff. Just like she had AOC had some post earlier today about I guess kind of saying that Mike Lee was dumb, not directly saying that, but kind of implying it. And I didn't agree with it. I think that he's very good on foreign issues. But when it comes to domestic stuff, it's like a bet out of hell. And I just find myself trying so hard to look for the decent things in a lot of these representatives. Like we're gonna have Republicans vote against this, like Rand and Mike, and I'll still say those two are better than the other ones, the other Republicans. But that's only because they have better records on foreign matters than almost all of their colleagues combined, except for maybe Collins, who is already universally despised by those on the left, at least those on like the Democrat left, less so the actual people who care about a series of issues, just because of Kavanaugh. So like they'll completely throw out the fact that she voted for the Yemen bill, just like all that stuff gets yanked out the window. It doesn't matter. That didn't get publicized enough for them to care. So it's all good. I'm really amused. You actually have these senators getting up here and giving these speeches, and it's like watching. It's like if oil could get up and speak, or just any material that is harmful to an environment, like gas emissions and whatnot. Just all of it comes out and sits on the Senate floor and tells you why it doesn't need to be regulated. And like I said, we can sit here and crunch the numbers of this stuff, but anytime they want to give the military, as we've been over on this channel, $717 billion. How the hell did they pay for that? and that was last year. They gave it another 750 billion this year. How the hell did they pay for that? Isn't that $1 trillion when combined together? And that's literally within the span of, they introduced those two bills, what, a year apart. So within a year, they were able to get another 700 billion to go do some stuff overseas. And it's not doing us any good because still in Afghanistan, still in Syria, still in Yemen, still in Libya, still in Iraq, still in Pakistan, still in Somalia. It never changes. No matter how much dollars they throw at the situation, these generals want to keep us in those conflicts forever because they know that the service members are the ones who are going to have to pay the price for them getting a hard on for having conflicts around the world. But we're not here to discuss that. So of course that one person got out of here. It's all good. I'm astonished. Like McConnell really thinks he's doing a disservice to the Democrats here. I don't see a scenario where this doesn't. I guess basically the ones that I already had a high opinion of, I'll have a slightly higher opinion of for voting for this, and the ones that don't vote for it, they probably already were snakes. It's like I know Harris will vote for it. That's only because she's trying to play her little savvy politician thing. Feinstein might not vote for it. I lean more toward her voting against it than not, but that doesn't surprise me. So, like I said, this is just, the aims are not actually as influential as he might hope, because we already know all the Republicans are going to vote against it, except maybe Collins, but still, I doubt it. So it just seems more like it's a big waste of time. It's like, let's vote on this thing that has no chance of passing just for fun, just because we have nothing else to do. All right, so I've pretty much said all I need to say. I'll talk about this more in depth maybe tomorrow, maybe later today. I don't know. But just to close out, I really think that if you get a grassroots group of people who just support primary challengers or general election challengers against these people who oppose the Green New Deal, you could seriously make this vote a referendum. But there's too few people who pay attention for that to be done effectively in most states. It can be done in a few because you'll be able to round up a large enough amount of the smaller numbers. So like places such as Wyoming, Iowa, with just little smaller populations in other states. So places like California or Texas, just there's too few people who are awoken or whichever term you'd use to this scenario for them to really care or get upset about this. And it's sad too, because it means that when you have in a country of 300 million people, you only have about a couple 100,000, maybe hundreds of dozens of people that actually are serious about doing something about the environment. So it sucks, but that's why I said the US is going to hell.